Welcome back, Defenders. For the first time in weeks, I don't have a new Russian oil refinery to report struck by Ukraine. But over the last 2 days, Ukraine blew up some other things. Let's cover that. Massive blaze erupts at a Lukoil gas plant after a drone strike deep inside Russia. The Korbakovsky plant is the largest gas processor in Russia's southern federal district, with a capacity of 450 million cubic meters per year. Much of its output is exported abroad. I don't think that Russia is going to be exporting gas from this facility anytime soon. This is what the gas facility looks like the next day. And as you can see, firefighting crews are still battling the fire, which is still ongoing at the gas plant. This is the firm's data confirming there was a massive fire. Ukraine also simultaneously struck a pumping station south of the facility. At the moment, Ukraine is working on the Kubiashev-Tikhoretsk pipeline. This is an oil and gas pipeline coming down from the Urals, going through Volgograd, going through Krasnodar, and then eventually the export terminals on the Black Sea, which Ukraine is also striking. Additionally, drones attack Russia's Rostov Oblast, targeting an oil depot. This is in the village of Matviv-Kurgan. It's on the Ukrainian border north of Rostov-on-Don. And yes, Ukraine successfully got another oil depot. This is a massive oil depot fire in this small town. And every strike matters, guys. Russia really needs this oil and gas. Ukraine also confirms that the strike on the Crimean oil terminal, the fire is still going on day 3. This terminal is in Crimea. This is Feodosia. And we've got a new video showing how bad one of the oil depots is on fire. You can see on the ground, these are the firefighting crews trying to put out the fire on day 3. This is a massive blow because Crimea is relatively isolated, and they need this terminal in Feodosia to resupply fuel, gas, everything. This is the satellite image showing the oil terminal fire. The smoke plume has been spreading for 3 days. What's the distance? And it's 21 kilometers. You can see the oil fire stretching for 21 kilometers along the Crimean Peninsula. Good job, Russia. Putin's gasoline crisis spreads. Sales now restricted in 4 regions. Gasoline shortages are spreading across Russia as 4 regional governors impose sale limits, with some gas stations capping refills at 30 liters per car. This is in the regions, let's see if they list them here, Tumen, Sverdlovsk, Chelyabinsk, and Crimea. The governor of Crimea has limited sales to 20 liters per car, but I think in the other regions it's still 30. And this is what people are seeing, not in the core territories. The city of Moscow and St. Petersburg, they're still relatively fine. But the extremities of Russia's empire, this gas station is out of 92 gasoline. This gas station is out of 95 gasoline. And the cars line up and you pretty much have to take whatever your gas station still has. This is the lines that form, and it's intermittent. Russia is still resupplying regions with a delay, so residents of Krasnodar or Bryansk might be without gasoline for a day or 2, and then the refueling trucks show up, and then everyone gets in line to fill up their tanks. But here's a brilliant Russian trying to figure out why the price of gasoline in Russia keeps going up, and he thinks he's figured it out. Let me play this clip.
Оказывается, бензин подорожал из-за того, что перевозка бензина подорожала из-за того, что подорожал бензин. Ну вот теперь все понятно.
It turns out the gasoline has risen in price because the transportation of gasoline has risen in price because gasoline has risen in price. Checks out. Here's President Zelensky commenting on Russia's fuel crisis. According to our data, the fuel shortage in Russia, specifically gasoline, is already approaching 20%. They've now begun tapping into diesel reserves. which they've been saving for a rainy day. Putin has been offered many times to end the war or at least a ceasefire. He's spurned all proposals, both ours and America's. So it's only fair that Russia bears the full war's cost. We don't reject any real path to peace, but we believe that only pressure on Russia will work. And I thank everyone around the world who is helping Ukraine in this way, strongly, decisively, and with tools and decisions that impact Russia. Zelensky continued, and he's giving his theory why Putin won't stop the war on favorable terms to Russia, and why Putin won't even agree to a temporary ceasefire. The head of Russia is personally afraid of a ceasefire, because once a ceasefire is in place, returning to the war would be difficult for him. To move from full-scale war to a ceasefire, and then later restart a full-scale war, that's not easy for him. It's not easy economically, it's not easy with the society, and it's not easy with the world. And certainly not easy with those countries that are still shaking Putin's hand today. That's why, for now, he chooses to continue the war. But this can be stopped. More pressure on Russia is needed. Pressure will work. When they lose more from war than they would in any other scenario, our long-range strikes, strong sanctions, holding the battlefield, defending ourselves, but also undoubtedly supporting peaceful initiatives because that's the right thing to do. This will work. So Russia needs more pressure. They need more persuasion to accept a ceasefire or stop this war. Partisans derail military cargo train in the Leningrad Oblast, paralyzing the St. Petersburg-Pskov rail routes. Partisans inside Russia are derailing a train like every 3 or 4 days, and Russia can't make it stop. Massive fire engulfs defense-linked factory in Russia's Novosibirsk. A massive fire engulfed the Zavod Pripavy factory, which supplies metals to Russia's military. This is a massive fire. This tire facility burned down. I don't know if it was struck with a drone or if this was sabotage. There's a lot of defense factories in Russia going up in flames with no drones being sighted, so I do think these are partisans, Russians inside Russia sick of this war, and they're willing to set their defense factory on fire to help persuade the Kremlin to stop this war. That's what Ukraine is doing to win. What is Russia doing? Ukraine's hummus king hit in Russian attack, plans a comeback within a month. A Russian missile strike on Yafi's key factory has knocked out 70% of Ukraine's hummus production capacity, forcing the market leader to suspend supplies after its facility sustained damage. The Russians dedicated a $1 million missile to blow up a hummus factory. Russia's brilliant strategy to win this war is to deprive Ukraine of their vital hummus supplies. I hope this guy is somehow financially compensated. He said he will be back producing hummus in a month, so we'll see. But in all seriousness, the Russians are terrorists. Russian drone strike sets Odesa port ablaze, leaves 30,000 without power as Moscow ramps up attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. I'll link this video down below, but Russia has been bombing the port infrastructure of Odesa for over 3 years. Ukraine just keeps repairing and rebuilding, determined to get their exports out through Odesa. But this is Russia saying, we don't care if Ukraine strikes our thermal power plants. We're going to keep doing this. Russian strikes kill 5, injure 37 as they hit a thermal power plant again in Ukraine. They also went after a DTEK enrichment plant. This was in the Donetsk region. Russia bombed this twice in one day, and this is a plant that produces enriched coal for burning in Ukraine's thermal power plants. This was taken offline in order to, once again, deprive Ukrainians of light, heat, and running water this winter. Blackouts in Russia is a fair response if Moscow continues targeting Ukraine's energy grid. Zelensky, I think Ukraine has been more than fair, but they are going to keep responding. Because Russia again last night went after Ukraine's energy infrastructure, Ukraine's going to target something immediately. Within 12 or 14 hours, they're going to launch missiles at a thermal power plant somewhere in Russia to keep responding. And they did knock out the power in Zaporizhia somehow. We don't know exactly how, but this is coming from the occupied authorities saying that power for the entire Zaporizhia region is offline. I know things with the nuclear power plants are not great at the moment, but I don't even know if Ukraine was responsible for taking out the power in Zaporizhia. These are the occupied cities of Melitopol and Berdansk. These are Ukrainian citizens still living there under occupation. I think Ukraine would rather go after thermal power plants in Russia proper. But at the same time, how many Russian soldiers are stationed in this region? Tens of thousands at least. So this is fair game to knock their power out if Ukraine wants to. Which brings up the important question. There was an article in The Economist. Ukraine's hellfire is intensifying the Kremlin's fuel crisis. And this begs the question, where are these Flamingo missiles? They debuted over a month ago, and initially these articles were saying that Ukraine was capable of producing 1 or 2 a day, with production increasing. By October, maybe they're making 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a day. But Ukraine's not using them. Why is that? And if The Economist confirmed this reporting, like they're still publicizing Ukraine's production, I don't think they would be lying about the production for 2 months. So Ukraine is producing them. They have to be. And they're storing them up for some reason. Now, my theory is that strikes on these oil refineries are being done with FP1 drones, which cost less than $100,000. Ukraine has had those drones in production the longest, whereas each one of these Flamingo cruise missiles costs $500,000. So that could be the reason. Ukraine is currently stockpiling, and they're preferring to use the cheaper drones that they've already produced first. But once those are exhausted, potentially, these are coming. They're coming soon, and it's going to be glorious to see, guys. Stay tuned. So there's a lot of bad news for Russia, and it gets worse every day. And a reflection of Russia's economy, not one-to-one, but generally there, is the Russian stock market. Russian stocks suffer sharpest single-day drop in 3 years. The Russian stock market on Monday or Wednesday dropped 4% in a single day. It's a pretty big drop. On top of that, the Russian stock market plummets to a 3-year low after the Kremlin statement on collapsing US-Moscow relations. I don't think that's the real reason. I don't think what's publicly available in the news is what causes a 4% drop in a single day. This is insider information. This is insider trading. Executives or oligarchs or whoever, they're being told things by private Russian companies how bad it is. And they're the ones selling before the information is publicly available. For fun, this is MOEX, M-O-E-X. This is the Russian stock market index. And if we go back, this is the 5-year chart. October of 2021, Russia's economy was doing good. Stock market was at an all-time high. And then Putin started a completely unnecessary war. The Russian stock market lost more than 50% of its value. But because the price of oil and energy was so high, Russia's stock market recovered through 2024. It then sold off going into America's election. As soon as Trump was elected, there was a stock market rally. Sell-off, rally. This is on the Putin-Trump summit in Alaska. And now it's selling off again. Their stock market still has to drop another 20 or 30% to get to a 5-year low. but they're currently at a almost 3-year low, which is pretty bad. Concerning the battlefield, there's some kind of shift going on. Russia is in the midst of redeploying forces away from southern Pokrovsk. The 90th Tank Division is now entirely south of Ivinka Novopavlivka. Ivanivka Novopavlivka. That kind of rhymes. But this is a small village over here. This is pathetic. We can zoom in, and for more than a year, the Russians have been trying to take the city of Pokrovsk, and it looks like they're just giving up. They're swinging their forces around, and they're now going to focus on this village right here to try and close this gap where this river or stream is going through. Basically, Russia can't take mid-sized towns. Bakhmut, Avdiivka, cities between 30 and 60,000. Even after destroying every single building, Ukraine is still able to hold these destroyed cities. But Russia can take open fields. They can take indefensible positions in the middle of nowhere. So I think Russia is looking at this gap right here between these two highways. It's not great to occupy and it's not great to defend because you're completely exposed, but this is the only way Russia knows how to make progress. You just send meat assaults through open fields. Once a defender runs out of ammunition, they're either killed, captured, or they retreat. And Russia will just keep sending troops until Ukrainian defensive positions run out of ammunition. This isn't going to work. This is horrendous. But no, I don't think Russia's making significant progress if they're basically giving up on the idea of taking Pokrovsk this year. I don't even know. This is what is becoming a regular sight in small towns across Russia. This is a memorial set up to those fallen in Russia's wars. And this single small Russian town, they had 4 soldiers killed in the Afghan war, 3 killed in the Chechen wars, and so far, this one small town, 188 people killed fighting in Ukraine. And when they put the memorial up, they left space for another 200 dead. I don't know what the population of this town is, but you can't just lose 500 able-bodied guys if you're from a town of like 5,000 people. That is literally the definition of being decimated, like losing 10% of your population dying in an unnecessary war. Here's an interesting press conference with the Finnish president, and I want you to listen to what he says about the current situation in Ukraine.
I think the basic message is that Ukraine is in a better place than they were a year ago. And there are reasons for that. Their military capacity has strengthened. And if you look at the situation on the battlefield, we are speaking about a war of attrition where there's very little movement one way or the other. In the past roughly 1,000 days, Russia has advanced only 1 percentage point of Ukrainian territory. In the meanwhile, of course, we've seen developments in the Sumy region over the past few days and weeks that have shown Ukraine's capability to advance.
This is a war of attrition, and Ukraine is in a better position today than they were a year ago. Why is that? And it's because they're becoming self-reliant. Rather than giving them old stuff and then allocating money to ourselves to build new things for ourselves, the Western Alliance is just giving Ukraine money to produce their own industry, their own artillery factories, their own air defense systems, their own cruise missiles. And we're seeing the results, because this is a much better, sustainable system for Ukraine's military. In the last 1,000 days of this war, Russia has only taken an additional 1% of Ukraine's territory. Ukraine's a really big country, and when you zoom in on what Russia has taken, over the last 1,000 days, Russia has only net gained 1% of Ukraine's territory. It's ridiculous. Russia says momentum for Ukraine peace deal has faded and blames the United States for worsening ties. So I guess we do have to give Trump a little bit of credit, because he actually was trying to get a ceasefire. He actually was trying to stop the war. Now, he had a terrible strategy and he's an idiot. And what he was always trying to do was never going to work. But even giving Russia the most favorable conditions imaginable, Russia gets to keep everything they've taken, all diplomatic relations are normalized, all frozen assets returned, all sanctions lifted. All Russia has to do is stop killing people. And Putin said no. And it's felt great, like the last 2 weeks, not talking about Donald Trump. He is still asked questions, he still says things, but unless he actually tangibly does something, I'm just not going to mention him, guys. He's irrelevant. And I view this as a good thing. I want him to stop trying to help and stop talking about Ukraine. It'd be great if he could place some more sanctions or allow Congress to place sanctions on Russia, but he's still saying no to that. At the moment, he's just an arms dealer selling weapons to Europe for profit. But we're still gonna defeat Russia. The United States could be doing more, but we're still gonna defeat Russia. Here's Zelensky. If Trump gives us tomahawks, we'll lobby for a Nobel Peace Prize. It's not going to happen. I don't think tomahawks are going to be given to Ukraine. When the United States, under Trump, is not willing to sell JASSMs and not willing to sell ATACMS. If JASSMs and ATACMS show up, then I'll believe that tomahawks are on the table. But at the moment, this is just a bluff. It's just a thing to talk about to make Trump look tough, but I don't think he's actually going to do it. He should, though, because this is a winning issue for him politically. This is new polling from the Harvard-Harris poll. And let me read for you these questions and these numbers. This is incredible. Do you support or oppose additional economic sanctions on Russia to try to force an end to the war? And 77% of Americans say yes. 71% of Democrats and 86% of Republicans support Trump putting additional sanctions on Russia. 86% of Trump supporters want to see more sanctions on Russia to stop this war. And Trump still won't even do it. That's ridiculous. Here's another interesting question. Should the Trump administration continue to provide weaponry to Ukraine and impose further economic sanctions on Russia if it refuses to negotiate and prolongs the bloodshed? Or should it not do so for fear of antagonizing Russia? 68% of Americans support sending additional weapons to Ukraine, including 73% of Republicans. Because even Trump's supporters know this is the only way to make this war stop. The only way to end Russian aggression is with force, with strength. And that's not what's being projected from the United States right now. One piece of international news. In our last video, we were talking about Belarus, and apparently Transnistria is in worse shape than Belarus. As Russia continues to weaken, all of their proxy and satellite states are also beginning to fall faster. So the Transnistrian economy is dead. Let's see here. Russian gas stopped being exported to Transnistria on September 28th. And there's no prospect of this pipeline supplying gas to Transnistria coming back. So all factories, all industry has stopped. Transnistria is currently in extreme rationing mode, and they're going to run out very soon. So Transnistria has the choice. They can either reconcile and rejoin Moldova, or they can freeze and starve this winter, because Russia can't support this region anymore. I'm being serious. I think this is going to happen this winter. I'm not 100% sure about Belarus, but I think Transnistria is done. I think the money is going to stop flowing, and the rebels or whoever in this region, they're going to lay down their arms and they're going to begin the reconciliation process. I think Moldova is heading for the EU and eventually NATO, which is a good thing for the region. A good thing for Ukraine as well. One piece of quick good news. Ukraine to receive over 150 Themis combat robots from the Netherlands and Estonia. So thank you so much to the Dutch, and thank you so much to the Estonians. Okay, now I got a message on my Patreon from a member of this community. This is Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. And she says, "Hello, Jake. I love your podcasts. Your humanity and dedication shine through. My son, we're from Wisconsin, that's where I'm from, went to Ukraine in August of 2024 to volunteer building drones. He eventually joined the 25th Airborne Brigade. They are defending the Pokrovsk region. In fact, he's in position right now. I've happily donated to your 69th Sniffing Brigade fundraisers since I started following your podcasts last year. My son's unit is hoping to raise enough for a truck through the nato organization. This is the Help 99 website. They've raised $15,000 but are hoping to reach 24. The fundraiser has been stalled for a month now, but they've kind of stalled it out here." So this is her son. This is Marilyn's son, part of a Ukrainian defense unit, asking for a truck. And they're currently at 56 donations, 15,000 out of 24. This is the same organization, the same website, the same payment system as my fundraisers. So if you guys want to kick in $5 or $10 and help this fundraiser close out, it still needs about $9,000. And then Marilyn's son's unit can get themselves a truck with the next drop-off. So this is the, let's see here, this is the Florida Battalion 2 fundraiser. I'll put the link down below if you guys want to help out today. Final video was from a theatrical performance in Odesa. I'm guessing at the close of the performance, the entire audience stood up to sing the Ukrainian national anthem.
Ви почнете чи мені почати?
Continue supporting Ukraine. Russia will be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.